Wordpress, Business Honoring Spirituality. And this morning we had an amazing speaker come to us and a webinar.
Great morning here at BHS, and I intend to be back soon.
Hello, and welcome to BHS. If this is your first time joining us, I extend a special invitation and welcome to you. We have been meeting for 40 plus years, and we recognize that being a small business owner can be a somewhat isolating experience. And so we commit to honoring that spirit in each one of us that called us into being a business owner, and to investing in personal and professional development. And that's what we're going to do today with your speaker, Ben Winter, who will be talking about your website in 2021. Should you hire it out or should you do it yourself? But before that, I'd like to welcome on our prayer practitioner, Dee Dee Rockwell, to pray us in. Welcome. Good morning, Dee Dee.
Good morning, Anthony. Great to see you. And yeah, definitely missing all of our familiar faces, but thank you for coordinating this new technology.
Yeah, this is what our meeting used to look like, but now we've taken it virtual, and we're all joining in from our home offices. And so thanks for volunteering to pray us in.
Sure. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for making this space. So we'll just take a moment just to dive into this present moment together. It's an honor to be here and have this powerful technology that can create connection beyond the physical. So it's great. Just take a moment to allow your breath to sink in, and let's just acknowledge that there's a power in this universe that is beyond me, that is bigger than me and bigger than all of us. And as we anchor into that, we just allow the clarity and the abundance to seep through. We just join ourselves together in this service-minded heart with joy for the connection that we create together. And knowing that the perfect words will be heard as Ben leads us through the steps of connection through technology. We just allow ourselves to focus and be here together, sharing this and the connections that will come. And I just release these words into the law, knowing that it is already so, it is already happening, even as I speak it, that we come together. So thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful to know that we can do this. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much. I saw some people commenting. So if you're watching and you have a question for the presenter, feel free to comment in the bar below, and we can put that up there. But after the presentation, we'll all be joining a Zoom room where we can break up into small groups, and that's where the actual networking happens. And Dee Dee, will I see you there?
Oh yeah, I'll be there. Thanks, Anthony.
Okay, you're welcome. I'll see you there. Thanks for the prayer. Well, great. BHS is, here's the slide. Our mission is to empower business professionals to be successful through education, connection, and spiritual principles. Today, our presenter is Ben Winter, who certainly hasn't been idle in life. A couple years out of college, he started doing things and going places he never would have expected. From traveling to personal growth to marriage and child to divorce and parenthood to entrepreneurialism and inspiring others, Ben has flown an airplane on his own and has been scuba diving in the Galapagos. He's seen animals of Tanzania, and he's traveled all over Europe with a 6-month-old child in tow. He's performed improv for over a decade, acted in several plays and even a movie. He's owned several businesses, but his longest running business is his website and graphic design business. Ben has built hundreds of websites across many different industries, and while the technology is constantly changing, Ben is constantly learning new technology to best support his clients. Web design isn't just putting a website together, it's understanding that the customer is looking for and making sure it is given to the customer so that they are more likely to buy. Please help me welcome our presenter for today, Ben Winter.
Hi, thanks.
Hey, Ben, thanks for coming on. I know this was last minute. We had another presenter who wasn't able to make it, so I really appreciate it. You're the web designer for BHS, and I thought, what a perfect topic for our members to discuss their own website. Obviously, now it's more important than ever to have a high-performing website, and so I really am grateful that you were able to share your time with us this morning. I know you're kind of pinned in between appointments too, so we'll make sure that we can get straight to this. As I was talking to you about this presentation, you thought a great topic was, why don't we compare DIY versus hire out websites? What's the difference? And I thought, oh yeah, I know everybody grapples with that decision when they take a look at it. You know, you've got cost, you've got functionality, you've got access and editability. And I thought, okay, that's important. What's also important is designing a page. How do we put content on a page? What's the right order to put it on the page? And so with your approval, I thought I would share this slide on a wireframe. It's kind of like a sketch on how you would design a page on your website. And we're talking about the dark blue on the right. And it's split up into 3 sections: transactional, informational, and navigational. And at the very top is the transactional. And this is because people have been conditioned by the internet to really expect instant gratification. So if they know what their
So true.
solution is, then we need to be able to give it to them immediately. And so up there at the top, you've got the phone number. You've probably got, buy this package here now, or take this offer from us immediately. And because I truly do believe in the power of video, I believe, a little 15-second video is great because people are always asking, whose website is this and what are they about?
Well, yeah, and a quick video is going to tell them exactly what they need or that they didn't even know they needed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Great. And so the middle is the informational, or this is for people who they know they've got a problem, but they're not sure what their solution is yet. So we want to provide them with a lot of good information. And by providing them with this information, we're going to retain their engagement or their time on the page. And so our bounce rate is going to reduce or decrease. And that's going to increase our relevancy with people who are visiting the site. However they got here, Google's going to recognize that they're getting a good experience because they're spending more than a minute on the page. They're consuming this information. And then finally at the bottom, navigational. How can people stay in touch with us through newsletters or links to our social media so that when it is the right time, that we are top of mind and that they can easily get in touch with us. The bottom is for people who know what their problem is, they know what their solution is, but it's not the right time for them right now. And so with that introduction, the very next best piece of information for our viewers in sequential order is, now that I know how to design my page, it's time to choose, how am I going to publish and produce my website? Is it going to be hire out or DIY?
Yeah, we'll take a step back and explore what the best approach is. So let me pull up the presentation that I have for you guys. And wrong one. Anyway, here we go. So DIY or hire, best practices. So the funny thing is now that I'm sharing my screen, I can't see anything that's going on. So if you have questions, Anthony, if you wouldn't mind just stepping in and sharing those questions.
You got it.
But yeah, so best practices when doing a DIY website. We'll start with DIY because a lot of people want to know, should I do it myself or hire it out? And so I always start with something as simple as hosting. You have to have a place for your website to live, and that's what's called hosting. I love Green Geeks. They're my hosting provider. And there's a lot of others out there like Bluehost that you might hear about. The funny thing with Bluehost is that they're owned by Endurance International Group, which actually owns about 80 plus hosting companies. Now, the problem is they come along, they buy a good company, and then they turn their service into a horrible, like giant call center, and the system goes just really goes badly. And so it's not the best approach. So, if you're looking for a hosting provider, I highly recommend staying away from EIG hosts. And it's easy enough to find a list of them by just Googling Endurance International Group or EIG hosting. There's also proprietary systems out there. So if you want to build on Squarespace, you have to use Squarespace. There's really no other choice. Wix, I believe, is the same thing. If you want GoDaddy's website builder, you have to use GoDaddy's website builder. The problem with proprietary systems is that once you've built the website, you are stuck there. You cannot move it. If you want to move it, you're basically starting from scratch. So just kind of figure out the best approach for you and kind of what you're going to build. So using the software to build your website, everybody knows the name WordPress. That is the biggest software company on the planet for websites. I believe somewhere in the range of 30 to 40%, depending on where you look, of the internet is built on WordPress. Squarespace has made a name for themselves, Wix, Weebly. Again, you kind of have to know what you're interested in doing and kind of what you want to be able to do. So definitely do your homework on the different services and what's available. If you decide to go with WordPress, you do need to know there's a difference between WordPress.com and WordPress.org. So WordPress.com is basically the Squarespace equivalent of WordPress, meaning they host it, it's their system, and you're kind of limited unless you want to pay a bunch of money. WordPress.org is kind of the opposite in that it's a self-hosted software package and it is free. You can take it to any hosting company. In fact, most hosting companies can install it for you for free, and you have a lot more that you can do. So when you set up your website, you need to make sure it's secure. No longer is HTTP acceptable anymore. Most browsers nowadays will actually show you if a website is secure or not, and that will scare people away. Even if you're not collecting anybody's information, they're still concerned about the little thing saying this site's not secure. So just make sure you have security certificate. There's ways to get them for free. There's ways to pay for them. Your hosting provider can help out. But it is very important that you have the HTTPS for your website. And if you are going to do your own website and you do use WordPress or some other system that has software that updates regularly, make sure you keep everything up to date on a regular basis. The biggest reason things are updated on the web is to make sure that you kind of plug all the security holes. Okay. So that is one thing you definitely have to keep in mind when wanting to do your own website. I found a website that said, here's the web design checklist, everything that you need to do with your website. I said, that is insane. There's a lot of stuff that's going on there. And nobody should ever have to worry about that much stuff when doing your own website. Most web designers typically cover most of this stuff just inherently in what they do. But if you're really concerned about having a checklist, go Google it. You'll find a bunch of different checklists. Some are this insane, some are not. But I brought it down to making sure that your site works for your audience. So if your customers are the quick to buy, definitely build the website just kind of like Anthony said at the beginning, which is have an option for them to buy immediately if it is something for them, rather than just like a brochure website, which just talks about who you are. So you definitely need to know who your target audience is before you build your website. Consistency. You don't want one page looking really dark and another page looking really light, unless there's a very specific reason for doing so. But you want every page to be the same. You want it to match your brand, and you want it to speak to the customer, not to you. That's kind of the big thing that I come across as a designer is somebody really wants something to look one way. And I'm like, well, your customers don't want that. It's not going to work for your customer. Your website's not for you. Your website is for your customers. And that's always something that's difficult for people when they're building their own website, because they think something looks good, but it might not serve the client. So I always say get feedback and make changes. So constantly be checking with people around you, your target audience, and make sure that they're on board. And I put fast on there. Your website needs to be fast nowadays. Google likes fast websites. People like fast websites. If the website takes a long time to load, you're going to lose people, plain and simple. So make sure it's fast. The consistency. So the way that I look at this one is don't put your navigation in some weird spot. People go websites, they know the navigation is at the top. They know in the footer of the website, there's contact information. Don't get all fancy about where you place things. People are so conditioned as to where things are on each website that when you do it differently, it will sometimes throw them off enough where they're like, screw it, I don't want to waste my time. So definitely the main pieces of a website, keep it the same as the other websites in your industry. Now, fashion websites, they're a little weird. They do some crazy things because they want to stand out. But they still have navigation that's pretty easy to find. So make sure that the layout's consistent and don't overdo it. Don't put everything you know about your industry, about your business on one page. Nobody's going to look at it. Nobody's going to read it. Make it simple and easy for people to find what they want and to expand on their knowledge if they want to, like a read more button. So I always tell people headlines and bullet points, imagery, video, obviously hands down the best thing to do. But if you're going to have text, don't even worry about a paragraph until the read more button. And then of course you want calls to action, sign up for my newsletter, buy this thing, contact me, all those various things. Okay. Website needs to be fast. Like I said, they need to load quickly. Clients don't stick around. People don't stick around. If the site doesn't load pretty much instantly, they're going to think something's wrong. They're going to go find the next website and they're going to move on. So there's lots of tools to test this that are out there. You can just Google, test my website speed. And there's lots of tutorials out there on how to modify your website to make it faster. So definitely things to keep in mind. And again, you want it to speak to the customer. So you might like the color pink. For whatever reason, that's your favorite color and you want it on your website. But what if your clients see pink as very feminine and your clients are masculine for whatever that may be? So if you make it a feminine website, but your audience is masculine, then you might get a conflict of interest and they might just not be interested, and vice versa. If your primary target audience is women and you make it a very masculine website, it just might not work for them. So again, make it easy for them to buy. And this kind of goes back to what Anthony was talking about. Give them an option to buy, give them information if they're not ready to buy, give them an opportunity for you to follow up with them to basically buy later, and give them options. So match your branding. So if your branding is this wonderful blue and yellow off to the left, but your website is all dark and blue, people are going to get confused when they find you on Facebook and then click over to the website. They're going to say, am I in the right spot? So match your branding on your website, on your social media, on your print materials, everything. You got to make sure your branding is matching. And I always get feedback and adjust. Ask your friends, ask your family. There's things out there called A/B testing, which is having like 2 different home pages, 2 different landing pages, and just see which one performs better. There's tools out there called heat map tools, and it shows kind of where people are looking on your website. It kind of follows their mouse around. So if they're constantly on the right-hand side of the page, maybe you need to put your calls to action on the right-hand side of the page. So lots of tools and testing and adjusting to get people to buy. Now let's move over to hiring a designer and what to look for when selecting a web designer, because not all web designers are the same. So we're going to look at designer versus an implementer, price, approach, communication, and results. So designer versus an implementer. So a designer is somebody who actually thinks about the customer experience, what they're going to go through, and if the design of the website is matching the brand, working for the customer, and everything like that. An implementer in my book is just somebody who knows how to turn on a website, plug in a theme, put in some content, and call it good. They might not be thinking about the best interest of you and your business and what your customers need. So what do you need is something that a designer is going to kind of keep in mind for you. Okay, so a designer, you want to check for their portfolio. You want to see what work they've been doing. Ask them for references. If they don't have happy customers, that's kind of a clear sign not to work with them. How much experience do they have? If they're brand new, their price should be low. If they've been around for a while, expect a higher price. I mean, that's kind of the nature of it. Anytime you have somebody who's a professional, they're going to be doing lots and lots of better work than somebody who's brand new. And who does the work? Is the person you're talking to buying from doing the work, or are they shipping it overseas to somebody they hooked up with on some website that they found? So where are they located? Are you able to talk to them in person? And nowadays that doesn't matter as much. There's Zoom. Nobody's going out and meeting people, but something to keep in mind. And what do they use when they build a website? Some designers do WordPress, some do Squarespace, some do some other systems. So just kind of check to see what they use. And if you don't care, it doesn't matter. But maybe you want to know that they're using WordPress so that if you do need to move it somewhere else, you're able to. Price, variation in price. You can get a website for $10. I guarantee you're not going to have a good experience. You're going to be working from somebody in a country around the world that barely speaks the language, and you're going to get a $10 website. I know people who do the exact same work that I do, and they charge $20,000, and I think that's insane. And I would really like to pick up their clients because I'd make them very happy doing less money. So, but you're going to get a variation in price. And again, I think some of that goes to experience and what you get for that price. One of the things I was thinking about is that photographers, when you hire a photographer, you're getting their experience. You're also getting their equipment. You're paying for their very fancy equipment and their knowledge and their expertise. Same with website designers. A good designer has a portfolio of software that they use. That's, I'm going to say expensive. It's expensive software. And if you were to do it yourself, you'd have to buy all that software and you'll spend more time and money getting all the software to match what the web designer can do in terms of just paying the web designer to do the work. So terms of payment, never, ever, 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 ever pay in full upfront for a website. There's no reason to do that. If anybody asks for complete 100% upfront payment, they're probably a scam artist and you should walk away. Now, it's common to have half down, half at completion. Some will do payment options. You just have to ask what the terms of the payments are and kind of go from there. And then see what options they have. Some of them will just do the website and you're done. Some will demand that they host the website. They will demand that you do monthly payments. Just you got to go with options that make sense to you. Okay, and the approach. How does the web designer build a website? Do they just build it and hand it to you? Do you get any input? how long is it going to take, who owns the website, where is it going to be hosted, and do they have a contract? The contract is for you just as much as it is for them. So it's basically a document of expectations. So make sure that they have one. Make sure you understand who owns the website, where it's going to be hosted. And if you don't have a choice on where it's hosted, that's a red flag in my world. That's the type of person that's going to keep your website hostage when you want to go somewhere else. So always have options, even if you want to use that person for hosting. Communication. It's very important that you know how to communicate with them, how they want to communicate with you, and how upfront are they about their options, and are they accessible, during the project? Are they accessible after the project? Like, hey, you delivered this website, but I don't know how to do X, Y, or Z. Can you help out with that? So understand how they communicate. And what are the results? The website's done. Now what? Do you get access? Do they perform maintenance? Do you perform maintenance? Again, you want to go through the options and the contract to see, if things break, are they going to fix it? And what does that look like? So, and then of course you want to know, hey, next steps, website's up. What do I do now? So again, back to communication. And I'm going to now open it up for questions if anybody has any. I'm going to stop sharing the screen so I can see if there are any coming in.
Yeah. Ben, we do have a question from an unidentified Facebook user. Does a website focused on serving the client also create the best search engine optimization results? Or is SEO just being steady and heavy content with video?
So SEO is a very, very weird game. Serving the client is definitely a good approach. Somehow Google knows if the website is designed for SEO or if it's designed for the end user. They have magical people working there. I don't know who they are, but they're awesome. And so build the website for your customer. And the big thing that I know for SEO, and I don't do SEO, but the big things that I do know for SEO is that you constantly want to be adding content. Google likes websites that are active, that are providing information. So definitely, if you're going to worry about SEO, worrying about your search engine optimizations, just plan on creating content on a regular basis. Yeah, video is good. Images are good. Text is good. There's a reason that WordPress is good, because you get to blog, and blog posts are a great way to actively keep a website running and moving forward. So, but you're in it for the long haul. And same thing with SEO as web designers. You got to do your homework. You got to do your research and see what they're going to give you for the money that they're charging. So,
yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you again for presenting this information. I definitely get the sense that somebody who had never owned their own website would have a much better position going through this presentation than if they just went out there and collected a bunch of information from 3 different service providers.
And I know I threw a lot of information really fast, and somebody who has no idea what world we're living in, like it can be very overwhelming. So, but if anybody wants that presentation, they can just email me or find me on my website or whatever. So,
okay. Well, I wanted to invite people over to the Zoom.
We have another question really quick, actually.
Oh yeah, we do. Okay. Now, a lot of these questions hopefully will get answered in the Zoom call. And I wanted to invite people to head on over there. But Tanya has a question. Do you do one-off support for plugins and updates, etc.? I built my own site because it was important to me to have control, but there are things I don't know, of course. What, do you do that? The other web designers kind of pop in and help out, hands-on tech hourly?
Yeah, so I'm definitely one that will absolutely help out hourly as needed. Some people won't, and some people will just be ridiculous in what they charge. So just do your homework when asking somebody for help. A lot of times I will just kind of explore and look at the the question, and I might not even charge the person. I'll say, it took me 5 minutes. You're fine. It's just helping people out, making a good name for myself. So,
Yeah.
so Tanya, reach out to me if you want, and we'll talk. So.
Great. Well, thanks again, Ben. I know you've got to go, but I'm going to hang in there to answer any website questions people have. And then I definitely want them to be able to reach out to you. Your website is wdgcolorado.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming that they can contact you directly through that website.
They can. And there's a phone number on there. You can text me or call or email. Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Great, Ben. Thanks again. I really appreciate your help with BHS with our presentation today. You've been a great resource, a reputable asset. I definitely think that anybody with website questions would have a good experience by going with you. Everyone in the board of directors recommends Ben Winter for web development.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
You're welcome. Have a great meeting. Well, that was our presentation. The next piece of our networking meeting is more interactive, and the members say that they enjoy that part the most. So if you've got access to the comments, go ahead and click on that link, and I'll meet you over there. If you don't have access to the contents, then all you have to do is go to zoom.us and type in 818-077-24411. Thanks for joining us, and I will see you in the Zoom call.